It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. It's what allows us to pursue our individual dreams and yet still come together as one American family.
Mr. President, you ought to know that this nation is more a tale of two cities than it is just a shining city on a hill.
What is the catalyst which will bring about the change we are all talking about? I say that catalyst is the Democratic Party and our nominee for president.
The Democratic National Convention has had a number of historic moments through the years. Tonight, another first. Senator Kamala Harris will formally accept the Democratic vice presidential nomination this evening. The California Democrat is the first black woman and the first Asian American on a major party ticket. CBS News correspondent Nicole Killian has more on a political career that has broken many barriers.
I'm so proud to stand with you, and I do so mindful of all the heroic and ambitious women before me.
When Senator Kamala Harris was picked as Joe Biden's running mate, there was a collective scream.
Hallelujah!
And for many women of color, a sense of pride.
The few number of people that have actually served as vice president, every last one of them has been a white male. And so to have a woman of color and what it says in terms of validation.
Jill Lewis has known Harris for more than 30 years. They both pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as students at historically black Howard University.
She was not day one, I plan to run for office. But she was very interested in justice. She was very interested in being impactful.
Harris was born in Oakland at the height of the civil rights movement to immigrant parents. Her father is from Jamaica and an economist. Her mother, a cancer researcher from India.
My mother, who raised me and my sister, was a proud woman.
It's a lineage celebrated by women as diverse as Jamaican-American Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who calls Harris her sister in service, to Washington State Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal.
We were elected on the same night, and each of us becoming the first South Asian American woman elected to our respective chamber. The reason representation matters and diversity matters is because it actually affects policy, and it affects the people who look at their futures and see different possibilities when they see us there.
Like Dimple Ajmera, the first Indian American on the city council in Charlotte, North Carolina.
What part of Senator Harris's story do you identify with most?
Being raised by immigrants, how her mother didn't get promotions that she deserved because of her accents, because of the way she looked, and because of the color of her skin.
You always hold that chin up.
She represents the American dream, paving the way for millions of Black and brown girls.
A path paved by the likes of Shirley Chisholm.
And my presence before you now symbolizes a new era in American political history.
The first black woman elected to Congress and to run for president as a major party candidate.
This is a watershed moment.
Amy Allison founded She the People to elevate women of color to political power.
Women of color, particularly black women, have moved from the periphery to the center of American politics. We're the queen makers. That's progress.
Senator Harris is getting some encouragement from former First Lady Michelle Obama, who tweeted, "You got this." And she's not the only one looking forward to tonight. There are a number of virtual watch parties happening across the country to celebrate Harris's historic speech. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Carole Porter is a childhood friend of Senator Kamala Harris's, and she joins me now from San Francisco. Carole, welcome. We really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's go back in time a little bit to the presidential primary, Democratic primary. One of the most notable moments was when Senator Harris directly challenged Joe Biden for his past opposition to desegregation busing. And you were bussed with Senator Harris back in the 70s. Can you tell us a little bit about how that experience impacted both of you?
Busing for me was a critical opportunity I had in my life to come out of the community that we were raised in. We lived in a redlined neighborhood in West Berkeley. South Berkeley and West Berkeley were redlined neighborhoods in the 1970s, where predominantly immigrants and brown and black people lived. So for us to have the opportunity to be bused up to the Berkeley Hills every day and experience the people there. There were kids there whose parents were professors at UC Berkeley. So there was a very diverse group of people we went to school with, and just a different environment in which we lived. So it gave us vision. It gave us opportunity to meet new people, to experience new experiences, cultures, and to see another way of living that I think inspired myself. And I know Kamala said that it was a critical part of her upbringing as well.
And families, of course, play a major role in all of our lives. How would you say that Harris's family influenced the woman she has become?
Shamala, her mother, was a force to be reckoned with. She was intelligent, she was strong, she was loving. She loved her daughters fiercely and wanted to make sure they had every opportunity possible. She raised them in a community that was diverse and that had a lot of richness in it. We had the first Black mayor of Berkeley was our neighbor. The Black Panthers were doing a breakfast program at West Campus, which was down the street from us. Huey Newton was there. So she really wanted to make sure. The other really important part was Regina Shelton, she ran a daycare in our community, in our neighborhood. And Kamala and Maya and Shamala lived above Regina. And Regina was just a real role model for everyone. And I know she was very inspirational and supportive to Shamala, who was a newly single mom and working full time doing research at Berkeley. So she really instilled education. She instilled pride. Her daughters learned both about being Indian. They were Black women. They learned about their culture in Jamaica. The community we lived in was supportive, and Shamala was a very strong, intelligent, loving mother. And you see the results of that in her daughters today.
Yeah, what a rich environment you just described. That sounds amazing. Now, you have known Kamala since you were children, so perhaps you can share with us some of the lighter moments from your childhood to give our audience insight into perhaps who Senator Harris is away from the campaign trail.
Kamala is very kind. Kamala was a kid. I mean, we all were kids. We go to school, we'd come home, we'd ride our bikes after school, we played together. She looked after her sister because her mom was working, and so oftentimes her mom got home late at night. But she was very smart. I remember one thing that really stands out to me about Kamala is her just being very, very in tune to people, and also being a great listener. She really had this sense of leadership about herself as a child. And it was a servant leadership. It wasn't something that was directive. But she was someone who was fun to be around. She was very serious about her studies and about school. And she was just a kid. I mean, it's just so, crazy to me, all of this that's happened. But if I look at her life and how she handled herself as a child, she was responsible, and she also had fun, but she handled her business. That was just who she was, and everyone knew that.
It must have been fun seeing this childhood friend of yours, blossom and follow her career through the years. What do you believe, Carole, that she will give to this country or do for this country if elected vice president?
Kamala is who you see, who you hear, is who Kamala is. Kamala has shown us who she is. She's shown me who she is all of her life. Kamala will give empathy. She will give kindness. She understands where the majority of America lives because we lived there. We lived in a working class, redlined neighborhood where people struggled. The crack epidemic hit the neighborhood that we grew up in really hard. She understands the issue. She understands what people need, and she really cares about that. That is what her mother taught her. Her mother taught her, if there's an issue or a situation that you don't like, then you need to look at how you resolve it and what are you going to do about it. And that's really, she took that to heart, because that's what she's done. That's what I've seen through her entire career, as she started out in San Francisco as a DA, as AG in California, as Senator of California. Kamala is all of us. She is who you see she is, and she is. She's from the communities that the majority of America are from, and she understands those issues, and those are important issues to her to resolve.
Well, Carole Porter, childhood friend of Senator Kamala Harris and now vice presidential nominee, thank you so much for your insight.
You're welcome. Thank you.